3, 2, 1.
The boys are going. We're back here in the High Button Sports Studio. What's that song called? Back to Reality.
Back
no, that's
to Life. That is a song.
I'm thinking of Bill Nye. Bill Nye. No.
The science guy.
But there is a song that goes back to reality.
Yes, there is.
That's
Exactly.
So whoever sings that song is just basically us. So obviously, if you looked at social media, if you looked at anything over the past 2 weeks in relating to the World Junior Hockey Championship, just hockey in general, I completely forgot about the NHL.
Oh my God, me too.
You would just see High Button Sports having a great time when it comes to the World Juniors, and it was. I tweeted out one of the most, if not most memorable 2 weeks in the company's history. Incredible. Canada won. We'll get into that, and then yesterday, dudes and I are in the Sackville Arena freezing our asses off streaming U11 AA back to reality. and Jeff's hustling out there. We had a bunch of streams this weekend back to and it was just what it was. But wow, boys, I could talk here for an hour, which we are going to do. Dudes, how do you feel about everything? Are you back into work mode? Are you still living on a high? Are you back to reality?
As of now, I'm, well, actually, I messaged you yesterday at some point. And I said I'm back, but I'll be honest with you. I was living on kind of a high, man. I was, all the people that I know over the age of 40, I seen, and my phone was blowing up because of the CTV interview. But none of my buddies under the age of like 35 seen it because it was on the news. But I'm back now. This is a big week. We've been waiting for this week for a long time, and this is kind of, when we started to make a plan a couple of years ago, this is kind of how we envisioned it going. So I lived on a high for a couple extra days. I really did. It was an incredible experience, especially as a 31-year-old. You feel like you're like 10 during the World Juniors. But no, I'm ready to get back to it for sure. And
I just got a text from CJ. We got a stream tonight
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get into that. Jeff, how do you feel from the outside looking in? Well, you got to one game.
I did.
Which must have been nice.
You were at the square though, right, for the championship game?
Yeah, I was. We went down. Me and my friends at like 4:30 p.m. that night of the finals. My buddy picked me up after he was done his job, and him and his girlfriend and the whole gang went out. We went down, tried a couple bars. First, we went to Moxie's, like that new one in the bottom of the convention center next to Five Guys. Went there we probably got there at like 5:05. So the bronze medal game was still in, so all those people haven't rolled into the streets yet. So we were like, all right, we're ahead of the curve. Like, let's get our spot in a bar, and like we're like camping it the next 5 hours until the game's done. Went to Moxie's. They didn't have openings till they said like 8:30, and this is at 5:30. So we were like, okay, that's not good. Do? So we went down to Boston Pizza. There was a few spots open there by like the Split Crow. Always. And then we split up, actually. We went 2 and 2. 2 of us went to Boston Pizza. 2 of us went up and went to the Roxbury, so right on the corner there by, everything. And we got in there. We got a corner booth and the table. They had TVs set up everywhere. Everyone was watching the bronze medal game there and Canada jerseys everywhere. And we basically camped it out until overtime. So the next 5 hours, we were just
like overtime in a Canada game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were just like, eating. It was full. There was a line the whole night. People all over the streets. It was cool just to be able to like look out and see everyone out there. We saw Mavs going around with his camera. All the CTV guys, Paul Hollingsworth. They were all setting up in front of Midtown, and it was fun. We just went, and then once overtime hit, we were kind of tired. Like I said, we were there for literally 5 hours in that corner booth. I went through like 2 chicken burgers, a bunch of beer, and then we went out for the big convention center celebration in the middle.
And I'll pause you there. There's few times in this life where police, security, anyone in authority says, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
That's one of those times.
And this is one of those times. So my story on this is dudes was leaving the rink with a beer in his hand.
Which I didn't know, full disclosure.
And I saw security kind of just, 1-2 step after him. And then I just saw this guy give up, just literally, He just kind of, the security guard just forgot what was going on. And then he just, And then the next thing you know, you step outside, ole, 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 ole. And then it's just everything's flowing in the streets. You're not a human. It's an out-of-body experience. You're kind of looking at yourself from above going, whoa. You're kind of floating. I don't know if you guys have ever like skydived. I haven't, but it must be
wish.
something very similar.
Not doing that.
You're just kind of you let the city, you let everything take control.
Adrenaline for sure.
And you're hugging strangers. That's how I kind of know the job's in my DNA. Is I automatically go to work mode, pull out the phone, and just start filming. It's not even a hesitation at this point. It's like, okay, everything's happening. Phone. What am I filming? I don't know. It's gonna find the phone. It just. And the next thing you know, we're in a mosh pit, Olay. And then the next thing you know, we're somewhere. And then the next thing you know, it's pictures with fans. And then the next thing you know,
in the urinal.
In the urinal. Yeah, we were in the urinal at a bar after. Like, guys asking for a photo.
Really? At the urinal?
Coyotes jersey on. He's like, let's get a picture. And Belly's like, in the bathroom? And Buddy's like, yeah. And Belly's like, all right, well, if we're doing it in here, we're getting the urinals in the background. And Buddy's like, done. Like, wearing a Yotes jersey.
Is it because he was a high button fan, or you just wanted a photo?
No, he
sure,
just wanted
man.
a photo of me. No, yeah, of course he's a high button fan.
I don't know.
He just loved my hair. He
I
just
thought
loved my
maybe
hair.
they wanted to picture dudes in the full gear setup or some bullshit.
Honestly, that
like
could have been it.
That honestly, wearing that gear, because you and I kind of, I know I talked a big game, and even when I mentioned it to the wife, she was like, no, well, you can't just talk shit and not do it. So then you and I were sitting at the bronze medal game, and we're contemplating how I'm going to do this. And you got to think, Jeff, I'm looking at the dismount at this point, right? So you're in the gear, that's fine. But if Canada wins and we go out and I can't get into my gear, what do I do? So I can't have my gitch on underneath my gear and strip down out of my hockey gear and be in Under Armour, right? That's a big time no-no. So I'm thinking. Finally, we come up with a solution, and it was to wear like my cargo pants underneath instead of wearing shin pads.
Yeah.
I just wore thick pants.
Okay.
So it made it look like shin pads, and then I went with the pants, and I even wore the jock to hold the socks up. Little shin pad tape on. Elected to not go with the gloves, but the helmet, man, was a hit. Like I don't even know. I may have had a concussion by the end of that night for all the people that whacked my helmet.
Really?
But I really do think that the hockey fans, I don't think I might have paid for one beer the whole night, because as soon as somebody seen us in hockey gear or with the high button flag, it was just, let's get a beer, or you guys want a beer, or whatever. And it was just like, it was almost like that's what they were waiting for, was somebody in full gear so they could buy drinks for.
Damn.
But it ended up being a great call. We figured it out. And I know you and I kind of went back and forth. Like,
Well, I just didn't want it to like let it ruin the. I didn't want it to like be an issue in my head.
Right.
So if it was an issue in my head at the end of the bronze medal game, I just would have been like, come on, man. But it wasn't, because I looked. So my thought process, I had three things. One, the smell.
Yeah.
Two, there's not a lot of room to sit up there, so I was thinking shin pads in front of the seat, and then
Yeah.
that means his legs would have been spread, which would have meant
Oh yeah, big man spread.
less room for me. And then three, I don't even know what three
I think
was.
the runaround of like trying to get dressed and get undressed.
Maybe
and everything
that.
was
So
exhausting.
those are my
That.
three. Just like, I don't know, dudes. But then I think it was the third period, and I kind of just like looked around, and the next thing you know, I saw like four people with helmets on, and I'm just like, wait a second here, Justin. You're going to a gold medal game. Canada's in it. You're in Canada. Your hometown. Dudes probably knows 10,000 people here already. Who cares? And then at this time, also liquor had something to do with it.
Of course,
You're just like, whatever. And then we just kind of went with the flow, and it turned out it was awesome. I had there's no way I would have had it go different.
No.
It was perfect.
It really was.
It just it planned out, and
I do
the
remember
fact that Canada won too helped.
one point during the game, or maybe it was after the game. To be honest, somewhere around the second period and the end of the game is kind of like one moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember you looking at me going, great call on the gear, dudes. And right then and there, I was like, okay, so
That
now
is-
you get a
yeah.
little extra fired up, right? Because
Yeah.
Boss Man's okay with it. So,
yeah,
so
I was
you're
about to
good
say,
to
that
go
is
with it
something
now.
Justin would say.
I
in
was
the
just
moment.
worried about like the company, because if we're bringing the flag,
Yeah.
it's just like you got this guy hammered in gear. That's what I was worried
Right.
about. That's the only thing. But who could just
Those greasy old pants. Did it smell? It didn't smell.
Okay, so that just reminded me of something. We're in Tommy's hotel, and it's like, 6:30. We're getting ready to go down there. And so what Belly and I had to do was, after the bronze medal game, we ran to my car
Yeah.
over about I'm not going to tell where we parked,
Yeah,
because
don't-
it's a
that's
secret location.
That's crazy.
So we ran to the car. It's about 10 minutes away. We sprinted, and the two of us aren't in the greatest of shape, right? So then we grabbed my bag. Now we're running downtown with a hockey bag, with my Danbury Hat-Tricks
Shut up, nosy.
leather hockey bag, and it's got my gear in it. So what we did was, all the stuff I didn't need, we threw it in the trunk. We get to the hotel. I'm getting the gear on. Belly's like, let's go, let's go. I find this little bottle of hand lotion. Do you remember this? And I'm
Yeah.
like, squirting in my hand. I'm wiping it all over my pants, and I'm like, Belly, can you see this? Because you obviously don't want the white hand lotion to be all over your hockey pants. These are my hockey pants at the end of the day, but they are terrible smelling. So anyways, we ended up using the full tube. Belly's like, keep rubbing it on, keep rubbing it on. So I'm rubbing it all over, and then I get him to smell my pants.
No, I go, dude, do a casual walk by. So like he walked in front of me, did a spin, and walked away. I was like, I think you smell like flowers. You smell like a garden.
So I smelled good. That's why I didn't go with the gloves. I put the gloves on for 10 seconds.
Yeah, no,
and the gloves, don't get me wrong, they held, like, I took the glove off and it held the beer because it was in perfect shape. But man, it smelled like I had my hands in shit for like the whole day.
Yeah.
So anyways, I still haven't seen those gloves. Moral of the story. But yeah, we got through it with the with the tube of lotion, which I thought was hilarious. I'm rubbing lotion all over my
This is
pants.
just like out of your trunk at your hidden parking spot.
Yeah, well, we brought the gear down to the hotel and I got dressed there. So we
Okay.
had our last couple drinks there too, which we had to pound. But we get there and Tommy's snoozing still.
Oh, did
just
you have
laying
a
in bed.
hotel, you guys?
No,
We
but our
didn't.
buddy Tommy did. But Tommy and his brother went out the night before, and they were hurting. So we kind of went to the hotel. Not that we lifted spirits, but we weren't hurting like them.
No.
And he actually lost his wallet the night before, so they had to leave the hotel because the Scotiabank found it, the Scotiabank Center. So they had to leave the hotel early to go get it to get through the lines. So then it was just me and dudes in the hotel room getting ready. So I guess you could say, yeah, we did have a hotel room for a bit, but
For like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Big dog stuff.
Okay, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I do remember the walk because I was super nervous to leave in my gear because you have that anxiety about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a kid, so it's not really like that normal for
Yeah,
a
it's not
30-year-old
cute.
to be.
It's funny.
Exactly,
It's not
right?
cute, it's
Anyways,
funny.
the first two people we seen, it was this old guy and his son, I'm assuming. And they gave us high fives right away. So right then and there, I'm back in the saddle. You know what I mean? And then we go in underneath the concourse because we went down underneath this time, which was really fast.
Yeah.
And people are like cheering and high fiving us and whacking the helmet and just then and there you're going, okay, maybe this was the right call.
Yeah.
Right. And I did do the post, and you can't make this shit up. 187 votes, 87. The number keeps coming up.
87's everywhere.
Bronze medal game finished 8-7. Okay.
My phone's at 87%.
And but the bronze medal game, like what?
That's the biggest thing I want everyone to take away from this. Forget the Canada games. Forget like the obvious things that are going to explode Halifax. Countries that are not relevant at all here, people supported. Sweden, people cheering for Sweden.
Visibly
People
too, like
cheering for Austria, Czech Republic. Just people don't care. People want to watch hockey.
and good hockey.
It's just there's something to be said about that in today's world where everyone is so divided. I don't want to cheer for this country. I don't like you because you do this. Like, no one cared here. And hence how some people say hockey's in such a bad spot. It's a terrible culture. People are such pieces of shit. It's male masculinity, all that. How can you look at what just happened the past 2 weeks and go, I don't know, the hockey culture looks a little damaged, if you ask me. When you just have people cheering for every country and every weirdest corner of the world coming to a place called Halifax, Nova Scotia and going, no, I'm going to cheer on Austria. I don't really know anything about them, but they're entertaining and they're kids and they're going to remember this for the rest of their lives. So I'm going to support them and cheer for them. And if they score, I'm going to cheer just as loud as my 12-year-old son scored. There's something to be said about that. I don't know what needs to be said about it, but something needs to be said about it in future endeavors when events come to Halifax, whether it's an NHL team, whether it's other national, international tournaments coming here. Something needs to be said about the people of Halifax, not the event. Something needs to be said about the people of Halifax. And I'll leave it at that. And it was incredible. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm extremely proud to be here. I think that this is a great city to have this company in. And yeah, just wow. We dudes and I don't even know if you remember 2003, but we were still really young.
yeah, we were 11.
We don't remember the crowds. We don't remember anything. And I think you made a good point. There was no photos, not a lot of videos from 2003. So there's not a lot to go back to.
Yeah.
But these videos, these photos, these memories will live forever. They'll live forever through this podcast. I know every podcast from now until I'm sipping a straw at 90, I'm probably going to bring up the World Juniors. So it's, I don't know, there's something to be said. Really cool stuff.
I agree on that. And on that note, that's honestly my biggest takeaway from the tournament is exactly what you just said. And the one thing I do remember very clearly from the championship game is, from what you said, nobody cheered for Czechia because they beat Canada, but every other country got cheered for. But in the championship game, amongst all the craziness and the drama of the game going to overtime, after Canada won and they celebrated, the one thing I remember from the game was when they announced the silver medals for Czechia, the rink erupted. And it was one of the most chilling feelings I've ever had because everyone hated Czechia because they beat Canada 5-2 on the opening night. Every game that they played in the Scotiabank Centre, they never got cheered for once. It didn't matter if they were beating the team 10-0, the other team was getting cheered for. And that's what happened. Halifax turned their back on Czechia, but as soon as that game ended, the cheer from the crowd for Czechia's second place finish was something I'll never forget. And I think this just stems back to me getting a little bit older. I think if I was 15 or 16, I probably wouldn't have noticed because I just would have been like pure Canada. But it was so cool, and you could see
even when the goalie got hurt,
and he got
the
back
goalie
up.
got hurt, he got back up. The crowd just
cheered. Good East Coast vibe. But then this is what after that, Czechia stayed on the ice for the gold medal celebrations, and every single one of their players cheered on the Canada guys getting their medal.
Yeah.
And that right there, I think, is like the cherry on top of the tournament. And obviously Canada won, that's the cherry. But the biggest thing is that when people look back, they're going to go, wow, what a respectful, electric, just like crazy crowd that Halifax had. And we have the video footage to prove this now. It was just the wildest thing. And even in the bronze medal game, Sweden, I was getting ready to leave because I wanted to get my gear on and get a few more drinks in me, right? And the place was electric. When Sweden would score, their place was crazy. Like when the USA would lose the puck, it was just like Canada was playing. And I think that's just what you said of being proud to be from here and the market that we're in is it was
rare.
It was really cool to be a part of, for sure.
Bedard said it was the best city in the world.
Granted, he's only been on the earth for like 360 months, but like probably not even because I think that's 30. But
hey, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. The next generational player having a close connection with Halifax, I think it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and especially with what we work in, like hockey. Like I think it means just like it means a lot to us. Like every week we're working in hockey. We're around the local guys. Everything to do with like the moose sets, everything. So especially for us three and like High Button, it's nice to see Halifax show up. So a couple questions. So you guys went to the bronze medal game. Did you see Quake's post on TikTok?
Should I call him?
That guy, that was crazy, man.
We did.
Weren't we talking about that?
Well, Quake was.
He texted me. He goes, "Are you at the bronze medal game?"
That was an epic.
I said,
that
"Yeah."
Was an epic
I said,
TikTok,
"Yeah." Why?
Man.
And he goes, well, back in 2003, me and Jai, a.k.a. Quake's father, was snuck into the gold medal game, and they're going to try to do it again. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Good luck. If you make it, let me know.
But there was a few people that I got two messages specifically about this, and I don't know if it's because I'm from Fairview or people know I've got a greasy bone in my body, but they were looking for some insight about the arena, right? But we did spend the whole 2 weeks there, so
yeah.
But to be fair, Bell, you and I didn't really stray that far from our seats. Like I know a couple times you went to see Ziz and those guys, and I just stayed in my seat, and I think I have to be in a certain mood to want to go mingle with 9,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's after a couple draft beer, not after a couple Jimmies. You know what I mean? I just want to sit there and take in the experience. And I think that's one thing that you and I did really well was to be present in the moment because we did have a lot of stuff on our mind and we were still working behind the scenes on other things that weren't World Juniors.
You nailed it for not getting media passes. We did all right.
Wiggy said to me yesterday, he goes, the three best quotes of the whole tournament was the 90-year-old straw thing that you said, be a boy with Nick Hartling, and then my stupid 31-year-old cheering for 18-year-olds post-game thing. And he was like, for a company that we just went as fans. We made the most of our opportunity with content, but that's the beauty of the phones, boys. And like you said, too, you look around, there's content everywhere. If you just videotape the whole game, like if we just walked around the rink the whole time videotaping, you would have got so much content.
It was a blessing in disguise not getting media passes. And everyone always talks about like, how do you become successful? How do you do this? Like, everyone wants to do well in life. And I always say you got to fail. Everyone says this. At least successful people, you got to fail and you got to figure it out. Failing is us getting media passes at other events and not really building up to the best of our ability. Yeah, we did well at some other events, Telus Cup, whatever. We got media, all this other stuff, Mem Cup. Yeah, we did really well. But I don't think we've ever done as well as not getting media passes for the World Juniors. Like we in that sense, it's almost like our brand is with the fans, not necessarily with the players interviewing them behind the scenes. But it took us 7-10 events to figure that out. Fail, and then you'll figure it out.
Kind of makes me think maybe we should have done something like that for the Mem Cup last year.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we didn't do it because I think we were frustrated, like how that kind of all went down. But we probably could have gone up and done something similar. Obviously, it's not World Juniors. And it's not in our home city.
Just
but
wasn't the same hype though.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
But there could have been. I think there
you're
was
so right.
something there.
Oh my God,
There
yes.
would have been some cool
But
stuff.
my
there.
thought process is the bar down guys. It's the same. We would have done the exact same thing. There's no. It's not a secret. And I think if we were there, I think this is maybe me in my own head a little bit, but I think the IIHF and TSN have a little bit of a relationship. It's no secret.
Yeah,
And maybe if those high button guys are there, it's pretty similar stuff that we're going to want to be doing.
True.
You telling me if I just went up to Kelly during the World Juniors, hey, can I get on the Zamboni right quick? We'll go for a rip. It wouldn't have happened. And then you see Jesse there.
on the Zamboni.
You know, I don't know. It just, I don't know.
True.
It just is what it is.
The thing is, we just weren't worried about that. Once we knew we weren't getting media passes, we weren't even upset about it. Like, we were still going. And the big thing is that the hype was there. So you didn't have to try to get content, I don't think. Like, there was no real...
The content found you.
There was no real, like, oh, we should plan this out and go try and do this. I think the biggest thing we planned was when I was sick at home and I got a message from my buddy saying there's 3 guys in the white camera suits. I think I texted you and you went down and got them, but that's pretty much it, right? But that goes back to like our fans, man. Like the heads up that we got from that, just because they knew that was something on our brand, and that's kind of cool to look back to, because those are the kind of things you just, okay, cool, yeah, I relay the message, and then you don't think anything of it after that.
We were so quick. Like, dudes texted me, okay, 3 guys, white suits, pretending to be the camera guy. Like, didn't even have to explain what was going on, just like bullet pointed at what was going on. All of a sudden, in my head, I'm scanning the rink. Boom, there they are, 2 sections down. I get up, I go. I got a picture of them within a minute. Like, it just goes to show you the chemistry within the company and how long we've been going through the grind. You don't even have to explain what's happening. Dudes is sitting at home, sees these guys on TSN, white suits, pretending to be camera guys. Look around, boom, see him down my seat. Photo posted within 5 minutes of the text of dudes sending it to me.
Before TSN even had a hold of them, you had the picture up there on High Button.
It's just. Which makes me think, to go into this ice jam, if something happens, what can't we do? Like, just what give me a scenario that you don't think we can handle, and just watch us prove you wrong. It's just what else? You know,
that stems back to our athlete days though too. Like, how many? I know I've been cut from thousands of, maybe not thousands, but 30, 40 teams in my life, and the whole mindset's either going to make you give up and go, whatever, I'm not good enough, or it's going to go, okay, the hell with that, next year or my next opportunity or whatever you present to me is going to get crushed next time, because I am not doing this again. And I think with the bumps and stuff that we've gone through, it just, I don't know, it's a good thing for our company to go through adversity. We always joke about it. We love adversity, but we hate getting it. You know what I mean? Because it helps you, but it sucks getting it. And that's just the nature of it. And it's a dumb quote, but it makes sense. The big thing that I just remembered was people messaged and said, great coverage of the World Juniors. And I get a chuckle out of that, because we didn't stream it. We didn't mic anybody up. We did an in-house podcast, I think, halfway through.
Interviewed
Bedard's dad, took a couple pictures. We got a reaction video. We were on the news a couple times. But, like, the fact that people reached out and said, great coverage of the World Juniors, is something that seems to me like it should have been texted to TSN. But I get what they're saying, because it's what you said a couple minutes ago. It's most of our brand is with the fans. It's behind the scenes.
Which kind of took us a bit to figure out.
Of course it did, because you want to worry about the on-ice stuff and the quality on the ice and the players and what they're doing in the Michigans and all that shit. But really, at the end of the day, the reactions, the Olay chants, the "Oh Canada" at the end of the game, like, those things are the things that got viewed the most. And because we were in the building, on site, in real time, people just assumed, oh, that was great coverage by you guys. Really, we were just there trying to capture memories for ourselves. And post them on our site.
The only coverage officially was you guys having 2 seats in there. That was the only thing that we went into this with. Yeah. No plan, no preconceived anything. Just you guys having 2 seats
and 2 phones.
And saying, all right, this is our busiest time we've probably had, the most stressful time we've had, at least since I've been at High Button with everything with Ice Jam. We just, didn't let it deter. And you guys went out and delivered, man. It was sweet. So speaking on that, the last question I had was, what was the picture there with Bedard's dad that last game? I saw you post it, the High Button flag in front.
So I had this kind of planned the whole time, but I didn't want to do it unless they won. And he moved sections, so apparently, I don't want to say, like, everyone found out where he was.
Yeah.
So he moved to the opposite side of the ring.
Everyone knew his face after. Right? Yeah. TSN had him on, we had him on, that kind of shit. So
he just moved. And you know, I wanted to get a photo with them with the flag. And as soon as they won, I spotted them, and I was like, okay, I can't, like, there's too much happening. I can't just sit. They won probably like a minute after they got the goal in overtime. I said, dudes, let's go. Let's just move. We can't sit here. There's too much happening. So we went over, saw Bedard's dad.
Took us like 15 minutes to get there too, by the way.
Yeah.
3 sections over.
Yeah.
Which was wild.
15? No, it didn't.
Dude,
15
it
minutes?
was, man, even in hockey gear, I was, like everyone just piled out of their seats because they were heading to outside, but then you had to do the medal ceremony in Canada, so it was just
nuts.
crazy, yeah.
And so I saw him, and at this point, I don't even like ask him for a picture. I just put my arm around him. I go, Tom, let's go a photo. He goes, all right, boys, let's do it, because we had a good conversation before too. And we just grabbed a photo right quick, and we're like, we fucking did it. We did it. Let's go. We did it. And grabbed the photo, and just, one of those memories you'll never forget. Just really, really cool stuff.
3 of the happiest looking guys in the rink, though, in that picture.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he's going to have a buzz on. Like, there's no secret there. His 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids dominating the world tournament. And it's nerve-wracking. So he's going to have a few beer. But when he didn't even hesitate, dude. And he's such a beauty for this. Yeah. And we didn't have to tell him to grab the flag. Like some people, you hold it up and they just kind of stand there. He put his arm around us, grabbed the flag, big, huge smile on. Like, you and I are dying laughing in the picture because there's just so much emotion going into it, especially if you just allow the game to take you. Like when I go to Moosehead's games, I keep myself reserved. I'm not jumping up and cheering. The odd time on a nice goal, you jump up because it's a reaction. But when you fully immerse yourself into the emotion of the game, when you actually, and I gave a shit, like I cared. If Canada would have lost, I would have had a tough night. But when you immerse yourself in that emotion, everything is it's so real. Same with the celebration video that we had that you ended up videotaping. Like, those things are just real emotions. It wasn't planned. It wasn't, hey, let's look as happy as we can be. It's let's get a photo, turn around. We're all cheesing ear to ear, and the rest is history. And that's just something we can have forever.
And it was funny because we were getting the photo with him, like, as his son was putting a medal around his neck. Like, he might have missed seeing Connor get a medal as he's taking a photo with us. I thought about that after, but man, he'll see more medals go around that guy's neck.
It's so crazy, man. That guy literally produced, like, he's the father of one of the next guy. Like, it's just, it's insane to think about. Like, I don't know, that there's like even some sort of relationship with him now at this point. Like, where, you talk to him a couple times, you got the photo. It's just crazy, man.
Yeah,
like,
it is crazy.
That is like, that's like McDavid's dad, like super, like, it's these guys, like, that's
the best part about,
like, they produced, for lack of a better word,
mm-hmm.
the best hockey players on the planet.
Yeah.
And they're like, and there you are right after they win gold medal after his son has a record-breaking tournament.
Right.
You three
it's
just posted up with the high button flag, big ol' like shit-eating grins. Like, it's just wild to me. Like, that guy is like, his son is literally like the next guy.
Exactly.
It's not like, just some NHL. It's not like some NHL player. It's the next guy.
Generational.
It's cool.
I did see a tweet that was hilarious, and some guy tweeted he said, "Thank you, Tom Bedard, for having sex," because he created Connor, right? But that's that was half the hype was coming to see him, and he delivered, dude.
Oh.
Like, he could have easily come here and been the next big thing and got shut down and shadowed, and no matter what the other teams did, this guy delivered. I think he was in on 65% of Team Canada's goals, which is ridiculous. There was one guy on Sweden that had a point per game in AHL. I think it was Lysell maybe, and comes down to the tournament and doesn't get a point. Right? So it's like, it could have gone either way. It's the big moment. It's the big stage. You're 17. Christ almighty, the guy probably barely has armpit hair. And he's out there putting up 8 points a game. Probably just got his learners, but he's the next big thing. And I think that's where the one common denominator of Halifax was being able to watch this kid.
And worth the price of admission.
Definitely.
Worth the price of admission.
That was the word on the street that was worth going.
It was worth thousands of dollars. It was, if you value memories and not material objects, then that championship game was the place for you to be. I value memories more than I do material objects. Maybe I do need a new car, but whatever. I value that experience, like I said on that interview, till I'm 90 sipping out of a straw. That is what it is.
Do you remember when that guy gave you a straw in the concourse?
I completely forgot about that.
Belly comes up to the. Do you want to tell her? Or do you want me to?
I'll tell it. So I was sitting in the beer lineup. And I was just looking at the screen, so like above. So I wasn't even looking at this guy in front of me, but this guy in front of me was looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, what's this guy doing right now?" And all of a sudden, he turns around, And I'm looking up like above the bar watching the game, and he hands me a straw. And at first I'm like, what? I don't need a straw for my beer. I'm
Yeah,
good.
no one does that.
Yeah.
And then he just casually looks at me, no smile on his face. He goes, when you're 90, hold on to this, you can have it. I was like, okay, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Completely forgot
Put it
about
up in the studio.
I don't
Get it
even
on-
know. I don't even know where it is.
No,
now.
Because when he got to the seat,
He even
comes
cracked
up,
it open for me.
and he had 2 beer, right? Because you're not going to buy one when you're down there in the line. So you buy 2. He comes up and he's got a straw on him, and I'm looking at him like, have you changed or something like that? Like, why do you have a straw? And he goes, man, some guy just gave it to me downstairs and told me to keep it from when I was 90. And even then I was like, what?
Yeah, it took a second.
And then I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
So
Yeah.
So you said your dad heard it on the radio before it was on TV?
What?
Because you texted me
Oh,
like, did you?
yes.
So
Yeah.
So Jeff messaged. What time does it come on the news? 6.
Oh, it was pretty. Yeah, then it came on the news at 6. The radio was probably around like 5:30. It was probably about a half hour before.
So Jeff texts me. He goes, my dad heard you on the radio. Did you say something about sipping out of a straw at 90? And I completely forgot I said that. I did, obviously, but I completely forgot I said that. And then when I saw it, at first I thought, Justin, you idiot, why would you say something like that? But then it just kind of catches on. It's natural.
no, it's
It's
funny.
not your typical answer. It's just like high button sports. It's not your typical Paul. It is what it is. Yeah, it worked out.
I thought it was hilarious when my dad told me that. He was like, he said something about sipping out of a straw when he's in a retirement home or something, thinking about this game, and I just started laughing. I was like, "Oh,
Sounds like him, though, doesn't it?
I was like, that's totally something he would say. I messaged you. I was like,
That's
did you say this?
sad.
You're like, yeah. I was like, oh man. I was like, okay, what's gonna be on the news? So then I went over, and then like a half hour later, it was the lead story too on CBC that night.
Which has never happened to me
or
ever.
CBC, yeah.
It was CBC, yeah. Like it was the lead story, and I was like, they're gonna play it early, like, and I was like, and if we make it on, because obviously he was here filming that day, I was like, it's gonna be right away, and like 3 minutes into the main news broadcast,
And it was-
there it is, Justin. You guys, first of all, it's you two, and then it was Justin on his own, and then me in the background, and I was just like,
So
geeking.
story behind that, when Paul called me from CBC, he was like, hey, can I come over, just do a quick little interview, whatever. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it looked great because it was the first time, not the first time, but the most people from High Button Sports that were in the studio at once. And they didn't plug any of that stuff onto the news, which it's fine.
that's not what it was
I'm
about.
not complaining, but it just looked really good from optics.
Yeah, optics.
It looked good
Business
from business optics.
yeah.
That there was 10 guys in here while dude's is pointing at the screen while Jeff's on OBS, and it was a great photo we took, and
Yeah.
just great.
Yeah.
And you talk about timing.
The big part for me is that we're working while the world amongst all of the chaos in the World Juniors and because that's what everyone's thinking about.
Yeah.
We're here grinding behind the scenes, and I'm not saying there's people out there that don't do that, but it's stemming from the point that you made where it's the first time I think we had 10 guys in here, and that's a big moment when you have to hire people.
And that's the morning after a big game. I remember
Semifinal.
That was the morning after
the Slovakia
the
goal.
Slovakia goal.
Yeah.
The morning after. Woke up, 10 guys here at 9:30 a.m. grinding, training people through a program called OBS.
You know what I will say about that is that game kind of set because a lot of these guys, like a couple guys I had already known, a couple guys I hadn't met, same vice versa for everybody. There was guys here that hadn't met each other before. But the one thing that got us buzzing down here was because you and I were at the game, the first question people asked was, what is it like to be
Yeah.
at the game? So we had this common thing that we could connect on right away, and immediately this place turned into a brotherhood. Like it went from like, hey, how you doing? I'm Dudes, I'm Justin, I'm Troy, whatever, to now we're all buzzing about this game, and then all of a sudden it just became a much more relaxed environment. And that's kind of
Our goal.
and you say this too, we've both been in shitty work scenarios where you're just blah 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 blah, learn, try and retain all this, now go. And we don't want to be like that. We want it to be like a team thing because that's what we know. We played on teams our whole lives. That's what we know. Being a good teammate, relying on the other person beside you, wanting to do it for the guy beside you, not panicking if you look over and see the guy. And that's kind of that's what I noticed. I was sitting here and everyone's like talking about the game and it was buzzing. And we all got along and we got to know each other. And then bam, it was just such a great scenario all day. And then Paul comes from CBC. And you know what? I'll say the guys that were here pretended like he wasn't even here. He was a fly on the wall. And that's hard to do, even for me, who's been, how much have we been in front of the camera for the last few years? It's let him do his thing. These boys stayed super attentive. This is, the first time you and I have run any sort of, work meeting. Like, I've talked in a dressing room before and this and that and get the pucks in and we got to be better. But like never once have I had to run a crew of people, and I'm sure you can say the same. So it was really cool to see, but it was cool to have the connection right away on a common thing.
Yeah.
That was a special day for sure. We got to get that picture that he posted to his Twitter, framed and hung up after Ice Jam goes recording, and after it's all said and done. That picture of all of us just dialed in on the screen. Justin's sitting over there with his taking a look. Dude's explaining something. I'm on the computer trying to
show what I'm explaining.
Show what you're explaining. Yeah, it was. That was definitely. That was a cool one for sure. That whole day was one for the books.
That's why I was living on such a high. When I texted you, I was like, man, I'm still fired up, because it wasn't just the World Juniors. Yes, that was a big part of it, but it was kind of the whole 2-week process where it kind of started slow. We went to a couple games, and then Canada lost, so the buzz kind of diminishes a bit. And then you start to go to other games, and then Canada starts winning, and they're back, and the hype. It's just like if you had a graph, it would have been like it would have been like this, back down, across. Then we got on the news, and Paul came in, and it was like this, and then right across the flat line until the World Junior Final, and then it was like bam, spiked up again, and it was just wild. And I think it's hard for me because I'm a memory person. I would rather spend $5,000 on a memory than $5,000 on something I'm going to have for 10, 15 years. That's just the way I think. I love reminiscing. I love looking back. And I'm the one that's usually sparking all the stories years down the road. I'm like, you remember this? And you're like, oh my God, I forgot about that, because that's how my brain works. And that's why I was living on such a high, was because of that. Yeah, the little bit of TV time builds the hype a little bit, but it was just so much happened, and it's hard to even remember it all, but it was just such a crazy experience. And I don't know if you could ever duplicate it.
I know. I think about that. I was thinking about this today. I was looking at the IIHF Twitter account. Like, they're out doing the women's under 18 national tournament somewhere in the world. Like, imagine working for the IIHF. That'd be pretty sick. Might get old. Like, I don't know. It's tiring traveling, but the IIHF, they're off to another tournament right now where they're representing hockey on a national stage.
Yeah.
Boys they're just buzzing.
I guess,
but
keep going. Our stuff is there's a point to that, but there's also a point to our stuff is there's so many memory, there's a few. I was thinking about this the other day, when you're laying in bed thinking about the Ice Jam and it's keeping you up at night and you're just kind of thinking about everything. And it's there's been a few distinct times through a time I've been at High Button where it's these are this is one in a really special experience. The baseball in this past summer was one of them.
Yep.
The QMJHL Cup was another one.
True.
This whole World Junior thing, Ice Jam, this thing. The Female Atlantics last year. There's about a handful of things that really stick out to me from my time working here, just where it's events, because we're all doing it together. We're solving it, you know what I mean? It's just big moments. So another one like this just to be put in the bank, and the fact that it just all lined up so perfectly. I feel like we have so much to thank Bedard for. It was such a perfect year.
Love you, son.
It was just it was so awesome that Halifax has adopted him. There's that video clip and then there's all the signs, and it's he's saying we're the best city, and it's just for years and years and years into his career, people are gonna remember Connor Bedard, right? Because he did that record-breaking
in Halifax,
the record-breaking tournament, most goals, most points in Halifax, so special. Thank you.
So
made it so much better having him.
I said this, I think, on the last podcast, that this had the potential to be the best World Junior Championship of all time. Of all time. Where do we sit right now?
All time is tough because I'm only 30. Now, of course, I've watched probably 26 World Juniors, I'm guessing. Maybe I was a little bit older, 6, 7, but I think the numbers, number one, don't lie. So if you look at the analytics, for the analytics people out there, I mean, we were sitting in the rink when they announced that Scotiabank hit a new attendance record. It was 11,096 or 10,096.
That's the people that they know of.
Yeah, plus Quake.
That's
and
people.
Pops
That's
and
people with. That's people with legitimate tickets.
If you looked around the rink in the standing room, that's why dude said at the end when they won, it took 15 minutes to get to Bedard's dad, because there's people with no seats. There's people just around.
I think it's up there though, man, because
there was probably 12,000 people in there in that rink.
It's so much more than just the on ice product. I think for what the most memorable World Juniors, it's the bar scene. And granted, I didn't go to many bars. I only went to one, Dirty Nelly's, at the end of the game. So shout out to them because they were awesome. But just like looking at video footage, and that's the beauty of these days, is you get to see things that you weren't actually a part of. And it just, the bars, they were full. When we were doing street interviews, man, Boomers everywhere's, the Roxbury everywhere's down on that strip, completely packed. The rink completely packed. The atmosphere never died. The booing of the United States, the cheering of other teams, like the attendance records. And you don't think kids from Germany or Austria
That's what I was just
are
gonna
getting
say.
cheered for, aren't going to sit back and go, holy shit, boys. That was wild, because you do kind of not want to think of it as a player. You want to take it in as best you can, but you have a job to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're on the big stage. But imagine coming out and going, there's not going to be anybody here. And you look out and there's 8,500 people in the stands. And
On
they're
a
going
Wednesday
nuts.
at 2:30.
So attendance, electricity,
Records being broken.
records.
Talent.
That's also true. Talent, because this is the next, no matter Canada or not, these are the next big dogs, right? Like the Sandin Pellikka guy on Sweden. Like these guys are all the next big things. So I definitely think, and like, the
The gold
TSN
medal.
people say that
gold
it's probably one of the best World Juniors that we've ever seen. And that's why I was so hyped, because it was to be there and be in person and live in the rink that pretty much creates your dreams as a kid. In Halifax, when you're growing up, the Mooseheads are the big wigs. You're trying to win the 6-foot sub. You're waving your T-shirt when you're 8, 9 years old. You get a skybox with your team. To see it all almost come full circle, and obviously we weren't on the team, although it looked like I was kind of. That's what makes it super special, and I think that's a lot of the feel in Halifax, because it was just, I explained this to a couple of the other boys. It was like a high school reunion that you wanted to go to. And I'm not saying I wouldn't go to mine, but I'm saying this is like a hockey homecoming for us. So every person that you ever played with or against in your generation was at this tournament. And they can all share this same experience. And I think that's what kind of made it electric for everybody, is everybody sharing that thought process.
Like people won't talk about the weather anymore. It'll just be like, remember that time, 2023, when we were at the World Juniors together? Fuck
Yeah.
the weather. Who cares?
Yeah.
And also, I want to say something about the venue. If for the first time in a long time, I don't remember the last time when the World Juniors was in Canada, when it wasn't in a junior rink. Every time I
Yeah.
remember, it's in
Edmonton or
like North
Toronto.
America. It's
It was
been
in
Buffalo,
Toronto and Montreal.
Toronto, Montreal. I don't remember the last time it was just in a junior city. So you have to think of the scenarios and the optics of that, of it actually for the first time in a long time, it being in a junior city, and the junior city delivering, the people of the junior city delivering.
Oh man.
And the
Yeah.
timing of it, like, Bedard only has 2 years of his life to be. I guess he has more than 2 years to be
yeah.
playing for the World Juniors,
But
but
he
he won't
won't
be
be.
there next year.
No.
I'll tell you that
they
right
won't be
now.
loaning him. I don't think.
Chicago, whoever takes him isn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting a call
they're,
here.
they're not risking a leg injury.
Yeah. How much time are we at right here?
45.
Okay, I'll call back. It's all good. Yeah, I do got
Yeah,
to make a call there. My apologies. We're gonna end this podcast today with giving Quake Matthews a call, and we're gonna get a story from him of how him and his father got into the gold medal game here. So,
And to be clear, we're not condoning this kind of stuff. It wasn't our idea, but it's a great story.
Definitely
so,
not our idea.
preface.
Hello,
hey, what's going on?
what's going on?
Are you ready to tell this story here? We're at the last 10 minutes of the podcast.
I'm ready.
Okay, so how did it go? How did it go down?
Are we on the air right now?
No, we're on the air right now. You're on the High Button podcast.
I'm on the High Button podcast. Okay. First of all, I'm not admitting to anything. I'm gonna take a page out of O.J. Simpson's book and say, if I were to do it, this is how I would have did it. So, really, if you're looking to sneak in a game, there's a couple ways to go about it. Back in 2003, I will admit, we did sneak in. Statute of limitations is up. My cousin had the real ticket, and we had 2 tickets unused from like a preliminary game before. And so my dad fanned out the 3 tickets and then closed them shut, said 3, and then the guy looked at the top ticket, the real ticket, and ripped them all at once. Now, you can't really do that these days with,
The phone.
scanners and phone tickets and everything else. So if you were to do it, you almost got to go to a game before, like the bronze medal game, and stay in the arena. And that's what I would have done if we would have did it. You know what I mean? So you need overtime. You need overtime. Overtime helps your cause, right?
Yeah.
Less time to get ready.
Less time to get.
I don't know why they wouldn't put the bronze medal game at like 1:30, say, right? Because like, you know, the doors open at 6:30. The game goes to overtime. That's going to lead you to like 6:20. So then they got 10 minutes to clean the arena and then start letting people in for the gold medal game. So really, you only got to disappear for about 10 minutes. And I mean, it's not that hard, man.
So how do you disappear for 10 minutes?
If you were to do it.
If you were to do it.
If I were to do it, I would have probably just, you know, the stairs on the side that goes to the upper bowl by the TSN booth, and then you can get up to the box.
Yeah.
You know, I would walk around up there a bit, and then if anyone stops you, just ask where the lost and found is, and then, you know, maybe be on your phone and be like, yeah, he's up there looking for it. I lost my wallet. He's up there looking for it. I don't know. I'm just gonna wait here and sit tight if anyone walks by, and then pretty before you know it, 10 minutes will probably be up. They start letting people in. You go down, grab a beer. Let's go.
That's incredible.
Make no mistake, the bronze medal game will be at 1:30 next time the tournament's here.
Yeah.
Because of this.
Yeah, I think the bronze medal game. You know, my dad is. He said he's got to go to the Moosehead game Thursday, and now they're posting it on iHeartRadio and C100, and he's scared that he's going to get recognized and get banned from the Moose games.
No.
But you know, it's only alleged. You know,
It never.
It's the events in the video are dramatized for social media. You know, you can't believe everything on social media these days. Half these TikTok videos are fake, anyways. But it's a feel good story nonetheless.
Maybe we'll write it into a book one day, a fictional book, of course.
Exactly.
Well, that's a hell of a story, and most importantly, that's a hell of a memory if it ever does happen one day.
Yes, you know, 20 years apart, man. What can you do? It's a memory of a lifetime.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll let you go. I know you got tons of things to do. I appreciate you taking the call for a little old high button, and
yeah, no worries. Anytime, man. No worries.
all right, you're the man, Quake.
All right.
All right, chat soon. See ya.
See you, brother.
So there's the legend right there. That's
Seems like a pretty good plan if you were to try to do it. I
Lost
mean,
and Found's big one. Where's the Lost and Found?
I would have laid in the top row of the rink and just like been anxious as hell, just laying flat completely. Because, you know, you only got 10 minutes to clean the rink. And shout out to the cleaners because you've seen the crew of them. But if I'm the cleaner, I'm doing the lower bowl and maybe the first couple rows of the upper bowl. I'm not going up to the top of section 42 and doing the last row in the building. I'm just not. So
No.
you could just lay up there potentially. But I'm not a greasy guy. I would never try and do anything like that.
Me neither. But people were met like, I'll let it be. It is what it is.
What do you want us to do?
Well, it's an interesting time how like a lot of people are struggling to find workers. A lot of people are struggling to find security, cleaners. Like you should have seen the cleaners coming in last second, like after the bronze medal game. Like you could tell half these guys have never held a broom before, but they're just trying to get people in there to clean really quickly. And
They did
go.
a great job.
They did. I'm not saying they did.
Yeah, no,
they
I
did do
know.
a great job. It was awesome. But it kind of works out that everyone is short staffed, and if you want to pull a little move, hypothetically, you could.
It's not the first potential story I've heard over the week anyways, so
No, absolutely not.
won't be the last.
Boys, anything you want to say before we wrap this up? I know we got the Ice Jam coming up. We're extremely excited. Everyone that's going to be there, don't be shy. Don't be a stranger. Come up, say hello. We're going to be looking for you, or you want to say hello to you. We will be busy, so if we do
Cold shoulder,
if we do cold shoulder you, don't be offended. It's because we're trying to fix something. But if we do look like we have some time, come up, say hello. We'd love to talk to you. We love talking to everyone that's interested in the brand called High Button Sports. And yeah, we're really excited. It's interesting how we go from one of the most memorable 2 weeks of the company's history to arguably the next most memorable 2 weeks of the company's history. It's 121 games, I believe, that we're going to be streaming.
6 rinks, 6 days.
Over 6 rinks, 6 days, maybe 5 days. 5
5
days. It's going to be a lot of work. We've hired 7 extra guys. We've trained. We've gotten more equipment, more microphones, laptops, routers, you name it. We've amplified to another level of the company that we hope we can fulfill, that we know we're going to be able to fulfill. But with that being said, there's some nervous energy, but we're going to be fine because we got the right team, we got the right people in place, and you can't fight fate. It's meant to be.
I just want to say thanks to everybody over the fans for the last 2 weeks. The amount of times I heard high button yelled at us or high fives that we got or was just absolutely insane, and it's a little bit weird still for us to think that there's actual fans out there, and some of our buddies might be, thinking, fans, what are you talking about? But the amount of times, I did a count one time, and it was 14 times we heard high button, and it's great to know that people are out there supporting us, and we'll continue to support you guys as well.
Jeff?
Any podcast listeners at the Ice Jam, like you said, come say hi. Any of those players, going to be a lot of players around, so if you've listened, Come mention it, and you might avoid that cold shoulder.
Back
if you're a fan.
to
reality. That song's gonna end this podcast. All right, we're out. Peace.